All right, hello YouTube and friends and those who end up stumbling on this video. I got a doozy for you, but it's a classic doozy, even though it's not an old story. It's classic in the sense of it spells out what's wrong with boxing in the United States today. I'm going to give you a little story. Not going to name names. Maybe I eventually will. Because I believe there's a direct tie-in to me and Joe and our guys. We are big fans of a certain boxer, an amateur boxer who is going through the transition process of going from the amateurs into the professional ranks. Maybe gave it away right there, but let me tell you the story. I'm going to start it out with using an example of Joe. When Joe first started boxing, I took him to one of the guys I consider to be the best, and if not, one of the best trainers in the country where we live. We're living in Colombia, for those of you whom don't know. We will be making a splash back in the United States this coming year. With God's help. Just bear with me. I'm an old man. I go around the block. I say this every video, but I try to get you guys to hang on. Just bear with this old man. I took Joe in and to find out if he really wanted to box, because you got no business in the boxing game if you don't really love the art of it and the competition of it, because it's grueling and it's the only sport you don't play. And so I took Joe in, and for the first 7 weeks, I had to think back. I told someone this morning it was 2 months, but it was 7 weeks. It's close to 2 months. I'm going to be factual here. 2 and 3 times a week they'd have sparring sessions, and I had the trainer start off with Joe sparring against Joe. And I said, don't hold back on him. And he didn't. And Joe got beat up 2 or 3 times a week the first 7 weeks. On the 7th week, here's what happened. Joe, not being used to boxing, and this has been going on 2 months, right, was getting run down. And he said, Dad, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to lay it on him. And he went in and he laid it on him. And he didn't win, but he gave it every ounce of what he had. And he had a damn good showing. This guy at the time had 8 or 10 years of experience, and he's a pro trainer, multiple nationals winner in Venezuela. So this guy was no joke. And Joe couldn't beat him, but Joe went in there and gave everything he had. After that night, we went back, and he said, I don't want to spar no more for a little while. I'm tired. I need to rest a few days, a week, and then I need to start working on my body and my strength. And so even at the beginning, you can tell if somebody's wimping out. You can tell if somebody's dead on serious, loving the sport, and they're giving you everything they got. And when a young fighter comes to you and tells you their war and their tour, you need to be listening. And especially in the amateur ranks, that even though you're wearing headgear and it's not as vicious as the pro ranks, you need to listen, because they're fighting more frequently. They're fighting very frequently. And when a guy comes up and tells you, "No, I can't. I'm not sparring this week. I need time." The gym, the trainer, the coach, the people, the other boys, other fellas, they need to respect that. And that's what you need to do. Now, we're on the flip side of that. We can't find nobody we can't find sparring partners. We can't find people to spar. But I want to tell you something. This is a classic example of what's wrong with amateur boxing in the United States. A gym has a star in the making. And so they're getting ready for a tournament, and the star is telling them, now this is the guy that during the summer here, while there's no school, is getting up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, running 4 to 6 miles, doing an hour and a half of heavy bag work, pad work. Now all this outside of the gym is doing all these calisthenics, and he's getting ready because he's fixing to turn professional. And he knows he has to build his strength, so he's put extra wear and tear on his body. And when somebody like that needs a rest, you need to give it to them. You need to give it to them. It is common sense. It is the boxing game. This ain't hopscotch or badminton or chess playing here, or checkers. So the guy that's taking the gym folks over to Timbuktu to get in a tournament, no, I can't accept that. And what he's really saying is, I need my 125-pound superstar, fighting at 125, to come in here and be a whipping post for everybody. And that's not good, folks. That's not good. So I was hit with this story this morning, and I had this in my brain. I said, something's going to happen with this situation well in advance, months in advance before it happened, because I know boxing. I just know it. I know the mentality of these folks in this sport. And I can generally pick up on, in watching or listening to somebody, a combined 10 to 30 minutes, what they're all about. Because I know how these people act. So, I had all this in the back of my head. We're thinking about it, and I'm talking to Joe about it, and I'm like, I'm starting to think about this gym, and I'm starting to think that there's going to be some trouble. It's just little indicators. It'd take me 20 minutes to explain the little indicators. Maybe I should do a separate video on that to know whether you're in a good gym or whether you're not. So the guy, I'm not going to address him as a trainer or a coach, fixing to take the team for a tournament. So he lambaste. He just tries to throw a guilt trip on the fighter and his family. And it ends up with a group message in front of everybody. Well, we're going in another direction, and you're going in another direction. And meanwhile, all these kids and everybody's seeing all this mess being aired out. And it's not right. And here's what he was really saying. I need you in here to be a whipping post and to for the bigger guys and other guys to get them ready for this tournament. Your plans and what you're transitioning to is of no concern to me. And I'm at the tail end of using you up, and I won't have you to use up any longer because you're fixing to turn professional. This is going to happen to you, young boxer. This is why I'm so sheltered with Joe. This is why I come off being abrasive and brutish and in your face a lot, because I know this sport. There are good people in the sport, but they are fleeting and far in between. Now, why would I relate this story to Boxing USA? Because we suck. And it's for situations like this that we do suck. Trainers and gym owners will not stand up and point out that bad decisions when the judging is wrong. Judging is awful in the U.S. It probably starts there. It should be finished there by the trainers and gyms. I can't say nothing to them because when I have to go back next year or in 6 months for this other tournament, they'll be against me. So you continue to allow people to get bad judgments. And it's something about a kid. The kid gives 110% and they know they've won and they got adults piling up against them. They'll quit. And many of the great ones have quit. They've just literally quit. They get sick of it. And they get sick of the adults around them not standing up and doing the right thing. They're like, no, this ain't what I want to be involved in. And when you're younger, you've got more, unless you're a delinquent kid, when you're younger, if you're good-hearted, you've got more of a clear sight of right and wrong. And the shades of gray in there that adults look at, they're not looking at. And we really shouldn't be looking at them. So, to continue the thing, last night, about 3:40 in the morning, I woke up and felt compelled to get online. And I did. And I get online and I've got a bunch of pipsqueak kids coming on and leaving harsh messages on the YouTube. Oh, you ain't no good. Not to me, but directed to Joe. And then I find out the information here with this guy, what has happened at this gym and the ugliness there. And I started assuming, going under a great assumption, that 2 + 2 = 4. And I'm like, was this coming from these guys? Because we've had nothing but, wow, you're doing great out of professionals, great amateurs, all these trainers worldwide saying good things. And then we got a bunch of pipsqueaks all of a sudden come on after this happened to the fighter we're the biggest fans of that's transitioning to the professional ranks, and we got this on our stuff. So it's just awful. Now, let's talk about amateur boxing in my day. And let's look at it today. 1972, 5 gold medals, 7 medals in total. Almost conquered 90% of the weight divisions that we had at the time. Contending with Fidel Castro's great Cuban teams. Contending with the Soviet Union that was putting every dime it could into their boxing program. Let's go to from 1972 to 1976. 5 gold medals, 3 other medals, medals in 8 divisions, conquering 5 of them yet again. In 1980, we didn't have the Olympics. Muhammad Ali did his best to see to that. In 1984, 8 gold medals and several minors. We owned it again. 1988, 9 gold medals and several minor gold medals. We owned it again. So from the 60s, I could go back further to the 90s. We owned it. We owned it all. And we owned the professional ranks as well. In the 90s, rap music, everybody bitching and moaning, crack cocaine, drugs, not fashionable to get out of the hood no more, but fashionable to stay in the hood. Whole bunch of crazy stuff. Effeminate behavior being pushed on young boys and men. You go through the 90s, a tailspin. You get up to, I believe it was 2012 or 2016, we won 0 medals. 0. The Olympics, the last Olympics, we got 4 medals, 0 gold. And then finally, the last Olympics, we got 4 medals again. Maybe we got 1 gold. And all the professionals that still love and professional trainers in the United States all came together to promote the abysmal program we had last time. This year's going to be a pile of junk as well. Pile of junk, heap of junk. The last heavyweight champion we had was a heavyweight champion that didn't fight nobody, and he was a paper champion, a WBC paper champion. They couldn't fight his way through a paper bag, toothpick legs, wouldn't jump rope, wouldn't do road work. Now, meanwhile, you get ran out of the gym in the minor leagues when you're out here running 4, 6, 8 miles daily, and you're doing all this independent work, and you ain't jumping when a man says jump. You're going in a different direction. It's a bunch of bull hockey is what it is, and it's awful. So we have hardly any champions. We've got a couple of lower weight classes that we're pretty good at, and other than that, nothing. And really, half of that is Mexicans that just recently moved their families. They're not multi-generational USA people. They're people that come from other countries. We suck. And that is a classic reason as to why. A classic reason. So I knew early on, after Joe was 12 and he decided he wanted to start boxing, it didn't take long for me to figure out there's none of you out there that are qualified to train him. So I took it upon myself, and I've taken it upon myself to train other young boys. Because you guys just don't have it going on. When we come into your gym, brain damage, hospital comes to your brain. But yet you want to sit back and critique my old school stuff. Joe's sitting there bending and going through strong, heavy bags. In reality, taking the speed bag off the hinges. In reality, cracking solid steel, not fiberglass. Fiberglass wouldn't last him one day. He'd snap that crap in two on these reflex bags. Solid steel. Cracking these things in two. There's nothing easy going on around here with us. Absolutely nothing easy. Everything's rough, it's tumble, it's scary. It's very scary, and I keep telling you folks, something wicked your way is coming, and you don't believe it, but it's coming. So you keep right on with your gyms and your little candy ass mess, and doing whatever you're doing and critiquing this one and that one, because I got news for the damn lot of you. What we're doing is very old-fashioned. And you can know every trick in the book that's going around today, which ain't batting on much. And you can have every new wave technique down pat. But when you get that punching in the liver, the jaw, the face, it's all going to go in the garbage can, and you're going to do what everybody else does, and that's run. You're going to forget what you learned. You're going to be in a nightmare. You're not going to be in the gym dream world you've been training in. You're going to be in a nightmare, a vicious nightmare. So the story that I just give you today and what happened to this young man and the calling out in an open group setting that everybody else could see it. Mr. Trainer, you should be ashamed of your damn self. I don't hate you. I don't have ugly feelings at you. If I did, Joe would be in your gym. I'd just go buy a couple of plane tickets, come up there for a few days. You needing sparring? Son, I can give you sparring. I can give you somebody for everybody to spar. I can tell him, go 30% like I normally do, and you might not have anybody making it to the tournament, Mr. Coach. So I'm just terribly disappointed in the actions that have went on. People, clean your mess up. Clean yourself up. Young boxers realize these guys ain't got your best interest at heart. And you'll be sitting where the star that's fixing to leave the gym, that's turning professional, that's got these big-time trainers interested in him, which I don't think his dad should even look at. I think his dad should be training him. Maybe in the beginning, but when the money starts rolling in, I think the daddy needs to be training this guy. I don't think there's nobody more qualified on this earth to train his son. And he comes from old school too. And things like this shock us guys. They shock us guys. You know, we're like, what planet are you living on? Where's your thought processes coming from? The mental hospital down the street? Is that where your thought processes are coming from? So just be careful out there, people. Boxing in the U.S. is unfortunately going to need hundreds and hundreds of me out there to get it corrected, and I don't think y'all want hundreds and hundreds of me out there. Anyway, hope everybody got a weekend coming up. Hope you have a great weekend. There'll be more on this story to come, and we will be getting a video out on how to deal with a showboating fighter very soon.